Surprise, motherfuckers. All of your guesses are absolutely wrong. Thinking AP had to stop me. He really almost had to come where I was to stop me from putting you in timeout. Hopefully, Big T and JSU, come now. Come now. It is Tuesday, Swing for the Fences edition. By the way, AP, I don't know if you know, there's a lot of news going on today, right? So the Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau. The Braves yesterday quietly, unless you're in Atlanta, fired the third base coach. Okay, no problem. A little unique.
Third base coach.
But AP, I don't know if you knew this, but I want to share this news with you because it's important to a lot of our members. It's important to me. I know it's important to you, and I know it's important to the Niehaus family. It's Pride Month. Did you know that it was Pride Month?
Yeah, I did. I've seen it on Twitter. The second JBC updated his logo, he's just won everything. I mean, we don't even stand a chance. I guess we gotta change the logo. I don't know. I mean, I saw one that was interesting in Discord. I mean, what's your thoughts?
I mean, we should be considering.
Wait.
It's just one of those things that you see and you can't unsee it. And the guy who did it, the kid, is I literally have tears in my eyes because first of all, the banana is such an intriguing touch, right? A couple of weeks ago, I had to wear the banana head from the Savannah Banana. It's just it's got everything in there. Congrats to JBC, by the way. Yes, he did win 100K last night. Big T, by the way, I mean, this is something that we need to talk about. And for the people who were hoping that Big T was on, AP, we had a lively debate, and Big T told me the following. He said, Joe Ryan is scoring 30 fantasy points last night. No, that didn't happen, AP. It didn't happen, AP. So no 30 points for Joe Ryan. AP is in shambles right now.
I had him ranked out of the. I felt like there. I felt like there was like four top tier pitching viable options yesterday, and I had him ranked fourth on the playbook too, and we're aligned, locked arm in arm. Logan Webb, he pitched an absolute gem. He's been awesome this year. He's been awesome. The strikeout rate is up too. So, no, I was trying to find someone said, doesn't AP have better things to do? AP's on the playbook all week and through the weekend. So, we're busy. We're busy on the back end getting baseball dialed. So it's been fun.
It is a 12-game slate, so we don't have as much time as yesterday to goof around. But I will say, there's one person in the world, I mentioned the third base coach, and it's our friend Gary, who was in here with us talking about how the Braves third base coach deserved to be fired. That's, we know what? It is. Mitch, Iron Mitch, definitely changing my profile pic. All right, 12 games AP, lots to talk about, things moving around throughout the day. Do you have an overall thought on the slate, or you just want to get right into it?
Yeah, I guess, my overall thought, kind of to sum it up, is this park in, not in Oakland, but in the A's, is just insane. Bet the over yesterday. I'm going to bet it again today. Cleared it easily yesterday. And look, you can play bats against good pitchers there. Like, you get the ball in the right conditions. We need the wind to be blowing out. We need it to be warm. That's the case today. Supposed to be what, like 7 to 10 mile an hour wind? That is even enough to make the park factor similar to what we see in Coors. Our guy Steve Boyden highlighted that yesterday in chat, and it is true. It's facts. So Larry Butler, he was kind of like a tournament play that I really liked yesterday. He did very well. And this Twins team, I mean, we're not afraid of Lopez, a little lefty. And look at this Twins team, a bunch of righty matchers there. And then I think pitching is kind of, I don't want to say like cut and dry, but it's interesting. There's, you got Strider, Kirby, cheap price tags. Those are discussion points. You got Rodon, who's been really awesome. And then Green, who hasn't really looked himself since returning after the groin strain, I believe he had. So a really interesting pitching slate, but I like what we have on tap tonight.
All right. As always, go ahead and drop any questions into the chat. If you have them, we will do our best to get to them. But we do have 12 games to talk about and lock here in just about a couple of hours. Big contests tonight on our partner site, DraftKings. You've got a 111 with 150K up top. Then they're running back the $5, which we all love. Big T, all kidding aside, did come within 8 points of shipping that once again last night. So core plays will be up. Playbook is already done, right? AP and everybody will be in Discord answering questions, except Boynton, because he's on a cruise. He's got his floaties on, and he's got a lei around his neck and a Mai Tai. And he is enjoying himself, no doubt. The first game of the night, AP, the Cleveland Guardians in the Bronx in New York. Tanner Bybee, 7,300. Carlos Rodon, 10-3. I looked at first look at pitching this morning, and with a run that Rodon is on, you usually see some type of red flag that suggests that, hey, this can't continue. Is it a little bit of batted ball luck? Is it guys being stranded? But there's absolutely nothing in Rodon's underlying metrics that would make you think that he's going to do anything other than pitch another great game against the Cleveland Guardians. This is what he's done to the Guardians over the last several years. Tanner Bybee, not coming in ranking as high for me, even with the low price point. Just don't really love picking on this Yankee team if we can help it. What are your thoughts here on Cleveland and the Yankees?
Yeah, I mean, Rodon wrote him up. Obviously, the top dog on tonight's slate. If you're spending up 10-3 price tag, he's been awesome. He really has. And the difference that I see when you're looking at kind of the metrics, it's been he's been able to limit damage, allowing 125 ISO, 240 WOBA, very, very elite numbers. If you go back to last season, it's 204 and 327. Not ideal. His hard hit rate is always relatively high, and which is fine. You see that with a lot of dominant pitchers, but he's even reducing that too. So he's just been incredible. He's been awesome. You have a Guardians team that relatively cool outside of Jose Ramirez. It's their strikeout rate that is absolutely insane, and it's more so towards the bottom half of this lineup. But you're talking like a 30-some percentage. So if you can find a way to spin up to Rodon, that's definitely what I would like to do. And I think he's clearly above everyone else. I mean, we'll talk about Hunter Green. He hasn't looked right. I know looking at the K prop is pretty nice. The velocity has been fine, but between those two spin up options, I got to go Rodon. Hunter or Tanner Bybee. Yeah, it's tough. Like, I don't know if we want to really go down that far. And there's other options too. We'll talk about Kikuchi. I mean, none of the options down in this value range look really good. I do think Bybee is worth a look in multi-entry formats. Like if you're playing 150, I would have him in my pool. He is a talented arm. He does have the ability to get the job done. Slow start to the season. We've started to see some positive signs over his last few starts. And yeah, I mean, it's baseball. These, the Bronx Bombers, they could swing and miss a few times, and making Bybee relevant, but not someone that I'm excited about.
Uncle T is here. Uncle T was on the Logan Webb train last night because he's smart and intelligent, and that worked out well, I'm sure. He says that Ron Culpa behind the plate in the Bronx adds a little bit more of his interest to Rodon. All right, we're getting into umpire statistics and factors a little bit early in the show, but okay, all right, we'll allow it. We'll move on.
How much do you factor that in to your process?
I used to look at it.
I really don't, but I probably should.
Yeah, I used to look at it, and I will tell you, for me personally, it's much more about the starting pitcher and how he's been pitching. Those statistics that I look at, really a lot less on the pitcher. I mean, we've got people, every time Bill Miller's behind the plate, people in Discord go nuts. And while generally, sure, he's better for pitchers, if there's a bad pitcher, if there's a pitcher who's been getting lucky, he's still going to not have a good game with Bill Miller. It just doesn't matter over the long term as much as people think it does. But
I just I view it as
on two guys. Maybe it's a differentiator for you.
I mean, it's no secret, especially Bill Miller, and I just think that inflates ownership. So it kind of counters. You don't get an edge on the field because the field already knows that that's an extreme pitcher zone. That's kind of my take on it.
Okay. Beanair is in here. Beanair, you see, here's the thing. Beanair, I think was it yesterday that you played Dick Fitz for some reason? There was one of these slates
he did. I saw that screen.
Is that what it was? Yeah. So when you play the Dick Fitzes of the slates, well, by the way, we all were very high on the Angels last night. Trying to pick two pitchers on the slate, it's like trying to find a bangable chick at chess club. First of all, I don't know if you've been to chess club. Some of the smartest women are some of the hottest women in the world. Second thing is when you're playing picks like Dick Fitz, then you do have problems finding good pitchers. All right. Beanair, we're happy to have you here nonetheless. The next game, AP, the Phillies heading into Toronto. Christopher Sanchez, 9,500. Bowden Francis coming off a very good game. Of course, that was against the Texas Rangers. Many pitchers have had good games against the Rangers. 5,700 for Bowden. It looked like he was going to have a turnaround. He had that turnaround game against Texas. Christopher Sanchez has been really good all season long. It gets a matchup here that hasn't been great for opposing pitchers, but it's not like the Blue Jays can't be shut down by good pitching. What are your thoughts here on the Jays and the Phillies?
Yeah, this is kind of a game that maybe ends up a little sneaky. Like when I did my review and worked up the playbook, I mean, yeah, the Phillies are always going to be a stack that is somewhat in play. I mean, look at the lineup that they have, a lot of power, a lot of good hitters, especially against right-handed pitchers, which Francis is. So, yeah, I mean, I don't love this park. A good total in this game. Like how I'm approaching this is Schwarber, obviously a fantastic one-off, has the ability to double dong, break the slate. I want those types of plays in my pool for sure. It's not a spot I'm really prioritizing because look at the salaries. I mean, you're spending an insane amount. Trey Turner almost 6K, Harper almost 6K, Schwarber big price tag. So I like it more of as a mini stack. I'm not playing any of these pitchers. I just think we have better options. And again, same thing for the Blue Jays. I made the mistake of saying like the Blue Jays are never going to break a slate. This was on I forget what day it was. What was the day they put up like 13 runs? That's the day I wrote those words.
Friday night against who was the pitcher? Maybe Jacob Lopez.
Yeah, it was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. But no, we have a monster slate, a lot of games to break down. I have very little exposure to this game.
Yeah, and Francis, look, he's not going to be in my pool, but 5,700 is just it's a little too cheap for a guy that can have good games. I don't think he's going to be in the pool, but especially if Philly's going to be popular, don't necessarily mind it. But we got some people chatting about lots of different things. By the way, yes, I have a chess app on my phone, and I play with a few people. I don't know who they are, but I play chess just because it keeps the mind sharp. Beanair, you know
who's really good at chess?
Who's that? AP,
our boy Stevers. Stevers, very good chess player. Oh yeah.
So I have something in common with Stevers.
Yeah, you play chess?
I just said I play chess.
We'll have to get a game going. We'll turn.
Right. I don't know if we're going to get a chess tournament going, but what we will do, AP, is we'll move on to the next game. And you mentioned Hunter Green, the Brewers in Cincinnati. This is a game that performed very poorly last night for most people except JBC, who had Savale. Freddie Peralta, 9K. Hunter Green, 9,500. AP, you mentioned Hunter Green. Hunter Green doesn't grade out particularly well for me here in this matchup on this slate. But one thing that I refuse to do is play Freddie Peralta when he is the most popular pitcher on the slate. He's going to be virtually unknown here on this slate. Freddie Peralta is one of my highest rated pitchers here against a Reds team that I want to be good, but just has not been very good. What are your thoughts on the Reds and the Brewers?
Yeah, I like that call. I looked at Peralta briefly this morning and kind of overlooked him, mainly the park factor and just so many other options, on this slate. I'm not full MME. I think I'm running my 6 to 8 in that 1-1-1 K Fallick's favorite tournament, I'm sure. Great price structure. With Hunter Green, though, he had that groin injury. The velocity was fine in his first starts back. One of the starts was against the Royals. I think no strikeouts. He just didn't look. Something looked off. I don't know if it's pitch placement. I don't know what it was. The slider wasn't as effective as we're used to seeing. And the thing is you put him in Great American Ballpark, and if you're off with how he pitches, I mean, we know that he's a fly ball pitcher, and you're going to go up against a Brewers team that one is on fire right now as far as like real life baseball goes. And then two, they got some left-handed power here that could absolutely get to him. Christian Yelich on fire, went yard yesterday. So I like this spot, not as like a full stack, but I like using the Brewers, targeting them for mini stacks and one-offs, mainly Christian Yelich and some of these left-handed bats. So I'm just torn. Like I said at the start of this show, I try to narrow down my pitching pool, especially up top. I'm going Rodon over Green. So I'm under on Green, over on Rodon, not playing everyone. And that's the stand I'm taking. And then in doing so, I'm taking a few of these Brewers bats and specifically the left-handed hitters. I am curious, though. I like the call on Peralta. I might have to revisit that after the show. But what's your take on what you're seeing with Hunter Green right now? Am I wrong? Am I right? What's your thoughts?
No, I just what I'm seeing in terms of statistics is he just hasn't been pitching all that well. I mean, he's got a pretty low xFIP. It's not necessarily that batters are getting lucky. He's just in a little bit of a rut, and he does this. He's one of the more streaky pitchers, I feel, AP, Hunter Green, where he'll go through 4, 5, 6 starts in a row where he's just flat out dominant. And then he'll be mediocre. He'll have he's had a couple of not great starts in a row. So I'm going to be off him here. The popularity, when I'm looking at his statistics, I don't see anything that puts him to the front of my pool. And that's where I think maybe others are making a mistake. And on this big slate, I think it makes sense to get away from a pitcher like that. So I think he'll be fine in the long run, but I do think that there is some streakiness to Hunter Green. So, but Peralta is a guy that, like I said, when no one is playing him, he grades out as, the 6th, 7th best pitcher on the slate over the course of the year. Been pitching a little bit better recently, maybe getting a little bit unlucky with batted balls. So I'm going to take advantage of the low ownership on Peralta here. Lots of comments in the chat about chess. Sydney Sweeney has made an appearance once again. Very offensive, Riles Golf Pro. Very, very offensive there. Happy Pride, Bean Air. Thank you very much. We appreciate the sentiment. We are all excited about it. Use one of our logos, our Pride logos. If you have it, if you ship with that, you get 5 minutes in the champagne room with JBC. All right. The next game is the Angels in Boston. This game looked like it was going to explode, put up a lot of runs last night, AP, but Kerry Carpenter hitting like 10 home runs last night meant that the Angels didn't matter all that much. It is Yusei Kikuchi, 6,700 against Brian Bello, 6,300. Neither one of these pitchers has been great this season, and yet Kikuchi still continues to get ownership. We expected better of Bello, hasn't really been there. What are your thoughts here? A warm night in Boston, I can attest.
Yeah, I listed Bello, Bayo, however you say his name, in the playbook, and he was getting some ownership early, and I don't like it at all. He hasn't looked good. I think maybe he's getting a little bit of ownership because of his price. Otherwise, I have no idea why. This Angels team with Trout back profile is much better. They're still a swing happy team, and so the opportunity is there. It's just look at what Bayo has done. He hasn't done anything all year, and still has a high hard hit rate. I know he induces a lot of soft contact for ground balls. That's fine. But you got Trout back. He went yard yesterday. Taylor Ward has been on fire, and Joe Adell has also been on fire. So there's no way I could play Bayo in this spot. So I do have a little bit of interest in the Angels. I'm not like sprinting to get them into my lineups, but I mean it's hard to knock them. And Joe Adell did he go yard twice?
He had 2 home runs last night.
All the like 3K outfielders just smashed. And then on the Tigers, they have like 7 outfielder eligible players. And I played Riley Green instead of Kerry Carpenter. So I was tilted. It was just that insane.
That would have been very tilting on last night's slate. If you played Green instead of the other 5 outfielders that the Tigers have in their lineup, Parker Meadows went nuts. Kerry Carpenter, we talked about 3 home runs.
What's his name? Perez. He's been on fire too.
21 fantasy points. Yeah, crazy.
Real quick though, on the Boston side, man, they've been so bad against left-handed pitching. You got to think that's because their 2 best hitters are both lefties, and then the right-handers that they have to throw out there are just horrendous right now. They're terrible. They haven't been good, and so I think that's why you're seeing a little bit of ownership on Kikuchi. The thing about Kikuchi that I like is he's been awesome against left-handed bats this season, and so if you just merge those 2 things, if he gets through Jarren Duran and Rafael Devers, he could have himself a day. So I do like a little bit of Kikuchi tonight.
I don't know. There's not much at this point in his career. There's not much to differentiate Kikuchi for me from Tyler Anderson, who they faced last night. Anderson, a lot of pitches, runs out of steam, 4 2/3 innings. So I don't know. Jason Gordon, why don't they let Bayo finish more than 5 innings? This was about a week and a half ago. They were playing the Braves. He was pitching against the Braves in Boston, and I was in the car and I was listening to the Braves, not the Braves, the Red Sox radio feed. And they said basically he's just been losing steam. And all of a sudden it gets to the 4th inning, the 5th inning, end of the second, third time around the lineup, and he's getting hit and he's walking and he's losing control. So he just hasn't been good enough to stay in games, has been the issue with Brian Bello. All right, we'll move on to the next game, AP. It is in Atlanta, and it is the Diamondbacks against the Braves. The Braves, of course, with a new third base coach, and hoping that will spur something, maybe, I don't know, help the players hit somehow. Zach Gallen, 8K. Spencer Strider, 8,500. This is Strider's, I believe, 3rd start off of the IL. What maybe is more to talk about is what's going on with Zach Gallen. I mean, he got lit up by the Pirates his last start. The start before that, I think he got lit up. He just has not been, outside of a couple of starts this year, very good. What are your thoughts here on the Braves and the Diamondbacks?
Yeah, actually, over the last month, Zach Gallen has been horrendous. Again, we say that, and then he'll come out and like pitch a gym. It's like he does have that capability. I just think he's also been really bad. And so does he just snap out of it? I don't think so. Not against this Braves team. Like, I think it's a great spot. The only thing, like the one thing I could see is you're 7, 8, and 9, not very good for Atlanta. Outside of that, everyone else, awesome. And so I do have some interest in the Braves. I'm curious to see where their ownership comes out. We've seen the total drop, so I don't think they're going to be too popular, but I do like the top of the order. Drake Baldwin, he's been a stud. And you got lefties here that can obviously give Zach Gallen some fits. So again, let me pull this up real quick. You're talking, oh man, he got demolished by the Rockies. I mean, something is obviously off and wrong.
The Rockies game, the roof was open. It was like 90 something degrees.
Throw Mangone out there and he's going to do fine against the Rockies. I don't care about the roof.
All right. But to the point there, Rockies, Pirates. Now here's the thing. And I watch all these Braves games. This is not the Braves that we're thinking about from 2023. There is a ton of swing and miss in this lineup. And I would put them just a few. In fact, their record suggests there's only 3 teams in the National League with a record that's worse than the Braves. Rockies and Pirates are 2 of those teams. I mean, look, if Gallen is going to get right, it could happen here. But if the Braves are going to be low on, I'm fine with taking shots on them. More importantly, is I don't think Gallen is going to be in anybody's top 5 or 6 pitchers. And I don't know if many people are going to rank the Braves that high. What are your thoughts on Strider here? Looked pretty good in his game against the Phillies. Still not 100% in terms of sharpness. The velocity definitely is not all the way back. We'll see if it ever gets back. What are your thoughts on Strider here at 8,500? This is not the Diamondbacks have not been a team that we've used pitchers against very often. And when I see the Strider ownership and I see people talking about Spencer Strider, I wonder if those people are thinking the same way that they think about the Atlanta Braves and say, oh man, those 2023 Braves. This isn't 2023 Spencer Strider either.
So when you look at Strider, I mean, you bring up really good points there. I went back to his 2023 season. I mean, yeah, the dip in velocity is massive. He was touching 97, 98 with his 4-seam. His slider was awesome, almost a 30% swing and strike rate. You're talking now velocity hovering around 95, a very, very average, below league average swing and strike rate on his 4-seam, 19.5% swing and strike rate on his slider, which is like his knockout punch pitch. Like that's the pitch that, he's getting the strikeouts with. That's really concerning. Now, again, very, very, very small sample. Could he, based on pure talent, get the job done? I think so. I think you're going to see starts where, based on talent alone, he gets it done. But you're not, at least in the short term, you're not going to see the dominant Strider that we're used to seeing if the velocity dip continues. And again, you pitch, baseball a lot better than I do. If he came out and started throwing like 97, 98, that would be like the most insane thing we see, right? Like you don't just overnight or over the last week increase velocity, 2 ticks. I mean, right? Like that would be like unheard of.
Yeah, if it comes back, it's gonna be gradual. And he's a smart guy. He studies the game. He's one of those types of pitchers. I think he can improve in terms of, remember, he was a great pitcher, great location, but if he got behind, if he got in trouble, he'd just rear back and throw 100, 101. When you can't do that, you have to learn sequencing a little bit more. You have to pay a little bit more attention to some of those things. I don't think he's quite there yet. I think people clicking Spencer Strider at a high rate tonight are clicking the name and not necessarily clicking a guy that's in his 3rd start from Tommy John surgery.
That was me. That was definitely me. I'll admit that. Why are we considering the Diamondback Strider? What he has done is struggled with walks, and he's given up a home run, I think, in at least all of his starts, maybe not against the Phillies. But Corbin Carroll, I mean, this dude is a monster. Ketel Marte profiles extremely well. You got some dudes on the Snakes that could absolutely cause problems for Strider, take him yard. So I don't know. I think you talked me into maybe being a little bit lower on Spencer Strider, and then maybe running a sprinkle of Diamondback stacks tonight against him.
Sprinkle. The bullpen for the Braves has not allowed teams to have those big games. I mean, it's not like they're perfect, but they haven't allowed the teams to have the big games. So, all right, let's move on. Again, any questions? It'd be great if Greg Maddox spent the night at his house. That would be lovely. Being here once again, happy Pride. Thank you for sharing that with us. All right, next game, AP.
He just keeps saying that over and over.
Listen, the guy is excited about it, and I got to be honest. There are things to be excited about.
Crazy because after all that,
the month of June. I mean, the month of June is. Look at this. We get excited. All right. Next game is in one of the small parks here on the slate. AP Texas at Tampa Bay. Rain may be an issue here. It's calling for heavy rain. We'll have to take a closer look at the forecast. Texas, Tyler Mahle, 8,700 against Tampa Bay. Drew Rasmussen, 7,700. Texas offense seemingly came to life in St. Louis this weekend. Helped JBC ship on Sunday. Ships on Sundays. Ships on Mondays. Perfect. What are your thoughts here? Tyler Mahle and Drew Rasmussen. Rasmussen, after a very, very poor start to the season, has all of a sudden put together a string of pretty good starting performances. The one thing I wonder about with Rasmussen is, has he been pitching over his head here? And is this Texas team's offensive awakening something that we think we can believe in and that it will continue?
No, I mean, anytime I play the Rangers, it's not good. I mean, VIP knows that, or VIP as we
just want to let you know that VIP is here, so he's going to hear these comments and he takes them. He can take them personally.
Me and him we every time he knows every time I stack him up because I'm in his DMs. I'm talking shit. That's what I do because they do nothing for me. No, but seriously, weather risk in this one. A lot of pop-up storm. Like it looks like it could get nasty. Really, really unpredictable down there too, which is obviously why they played in a dome previously, and it's going to be an issue moving forward, I think, because it's a storm season down there. So I think that's a huge risk. The thing with Rasmussen, he's been pitching really good. I can't like ever consider him on 12-game slates and DFS formats because his duration sucks. They pull him after 80 pitches. They go to the bullpen, which I think could be tough on hitters too. You get to the bullpen, if the bullpen's fresh, it can make life tough. And so I am avoiding the Rangers, and I don't really like the spot. I'm not saying like I like Tyler Mahle, but he's been good at limiting damage. It's not really a spot that like I like this park. I don't like it tonight. I think we have other parks that are similar in much better spots where there's no weather risks, better matchups. So I'm avoiding this game. I mean, some of these Rays bats you could make the case for, but again, I'm not too excited about it.
All right, not too excited about the game in Tampa. Let's see if we can find a game that you will be excited in, AP. We've got 6 more to go. Next one, Detroit. Last night's winning stack against the Chicago White Sox. For Detroit, nothing usable on the pitching side. They're going to go with an opener, Bo Bresky. It means just cross them off the list on a 12-game slate, the pitching. And then Shane Smith, who's been pretty good, supposed to be a good young talent, 7,500 for Smith here for the White Sox. Looks like there's a heavy wind blowing in Chicago tonight, a little bit different than last night. What are your thoughts on the White Sox and the Tigers?
Yeah, if you're chasing that performance from the Tigers, now again, there are some great bats in this Tigers lineup. They are a tough team right now, really tough, especially against right-handed pitching. Just look at all the lefties that they throw out there. But again, if you go and chase that, it's a much different matchup tonight. I'm not sitting here like praising Shane Smith or anything like that, but he's not Cannonball or whatever that guy's name was. I do remember when our boy DC, I think it was last year or the year before, he talked up Cannonball on a few slates.
We played Cannon. Johnny Cannon is perfectly playable.
He looked terrible yesterday.
Well, he was terrible yesterday. But I'll tell you this. VIP, that's our guy, VIP, brings up a point here. The way that I look at Rasmussen is the way that I should have looked at Jonathan Cannon last night. It's like just pitching over his head, just a little bit too good. That's kind of the way I look at Rasmussen today. So, yeah, I am going to be on the Rangers a little bit, have some of those. But go on. Please go on and continue chatting about Shane Smith.
The weather doesn't worry you as far as bats go?
It would worry me. It would worry me if it was a situation where I was wanting to play Rasmussen or Mahle. I really don't. We have seen this Rays team give up a ton of runs in that park. So that's what I mean. I'm a little bit interested in them.
Tampa at this time of the year, I think it's going to be a disaster over the next month.
It may.
The weather there is so unpredictable.
Unpredictable, but it's also the situation. It could be totally dry. And we've seen that before in that park where they've thought that there's going to be rain and it's dry. But go on the White Sox and the Tigers.
Yeah, so I like the Tigers here. Look, I'm going to like any team against the White Sox. I don't like the fact that the wind is blowing in. I think I'm going to go back to Riley Green, though. Like, it would make sense. Like, you play Riley Green over Carpenter yesterday. Huge mistake, obviously, hindsight 2020. I could see him being the guy. They got 5 potential outfielders in this lineup eligible on DraftKings. Yavi Baez, you got Wenzel Perez, Riley Green, Kerry Carpenter, Parker Meadows. I mean, it's an absolute disaster as far as lineup construction goes, unless you just jam 3 in, hopefully get the 3 right. But fortunately for me tonight, I like the Tigers more as a mini stack. I don't think they're going to absolutely nuke like they did yesterday. They definitely could. But I think I'm going to go back to Riley Green. Obviously, he's a big power hitter. He could be a guy that could easily get the ball out of the park. So I like the Tigers, just not as much as yesterday. And on the White Sox side, I don't think we really need a mess. Like maybe like a one-off if you need salary, like find one of these cheap pieces. Otherwise, I don't think we really need to mess with them.
Yeah, this isn't Detroit's going to roll out.
Yesterday was a 6-game slate. I think it was different than a 12-game slate, you know.
Detroit's going to roll out like a new pitcher every other inning or every inning or something like that. And that's, even though they don't really have the depth or the talent to be a pinch hitting team, it's just not something to mess with. All right. Steve Kreitzen says postponement in Tampa is possible. All right, thank you for that. Binking is not going to be binking with Rasmussen tonight, so good luck with that. We will move on to the next game, AP, and it's your Royals. Look at this. Michael Lorenzen, 7,200. Andre Palante, 7K. Nice wind blowing out in St. Louis. Seems a little cheap for Palante, who's actually been surprisingly good. Jack Caglianone is in the lineup, making his major league debut. Are you wearing your Royals undies?
We got some Italian studs finally on the Royals. I feel like we need to redo like the Donnie Brasco movie cover. Good movie if you haven't seen it. Get both Vinny on there. Get Jack on there.
Yeah,
dude, this kid is really good. Who did he play for? Florida, I think. He's the Royals' top prospect, number 9, I think, prospect in baseball. He's just been absolutely mashing the ball. 19 home runs, maybe. You can Google it, grok it. You can look up the stats. I mean, the kid looks legit, and the Royals need it. And we need more too. I still see a lot of issues with this lineup I'm looking at right now. I love Salvi. He's getting kind of old though. The bottom half of this lineup, absolute disaster. But you got some bright spots. Bobby Witt obviously doing his thing. I think Miguel Garcia is taking a leap. And then Vinny, he's a little bit too cheap. So they got this matchup against what's his name? Palantine or something? Palante.
Yes.
He's a ground ball specialist, which can be really annoying. So I can't endorse a full stack against him. I do like using the Royals as value one-offs or value 2-man stacks, targeting some of these bats that we just talked about. They're cheap, offer a lot of salary relief, and they could definitely go yard here. So I think I'm obligated to play the rookie. So he'll be in my lineup, possibly in my core tonight. I have to. He looks like a stud. We need it. I probably shouldn't play him because then he'll do really well. I play him, he won't do well at all. That's usually how it goes. But I'm definitely going to play him. The weather's awesome in St. Louis. 86, 87 degrees, winds blowing out. I know it's a pitcher's park. It's not going to do a ton, but it's a little bit better there for hitting. And then, you could definitely attack Lorenzen, who's not very good. He just got destroyed by Cincinnati. They owned him, absolutely owned him. I could see him having back-to-back bad starts. He's had 2 good starts on the year. Over the last month, though, he is who he is. Like, he's not that good. So I think these St. Louis bats are very much in play. Pretty good total in this one. I think it goes over. I think the Cardinals win. And so, you could do a little mini stack of this game. You could play the Cardinals side, run it back with the rookie. A lot of ways to play this game, but I definitely have some interest in DFS format.
Palante, a guy who's been good, but maybe another guy who's been pitching just a little bit better than he's going to be long-term. So have to keep that in mind here. We'll move on.
He's a guy that's been definitely pitching over his head, right? I mean, you're talking like a 65% ground ball rate. I mean, he gets hit hard all the time. So, like, my approach with that, JT, is just power hitters can still get to it. Just avoid like the Drew Waters, Like you're not playing these guys anyway to begin with. Jonathan India, you're going to need him to like get on base and then get a couple steals, I think, to get there.
Well, that's the thing. If you're doing a full stack of the Royals, you're hoping that the guys like Waters, like Garcia, some of these other guys can get on base and steal a bag or two. And I, from what I have seen, you can run on this Cardinals team. It's no longer Yadi Molina back there where you wouldn't consider running. You can run on this team. So certainly a possibility. All right. Next game, we go out to the West Coast, AP, for the last 4 games of this slate. First one here is Tomoyoki Sugano for the Orioles, 6,500 in Seattle against George Kirby, 8,200. Kirby price is coming down, but Kirby has not been a guy who has pitched well since his return from the IL. What are your thoughts on this game in Seattle?
Yeah, Kirby is the interesting one because from a duration standpoint, he should be 85 to 90, if not more, if he's pitching right. He looked terrible in that last game. So like the thing with Kirby, he had shoulder inflammation that developed during spring training, sidelined him for a little bit. He's come back and he hasn't looked that good. The underlying stuff, I think is fine though. So you're going to see, I think you're going to see him regain some form here soon. Like, I don't know if it's just dust. Like, I don't think he's just bad and broken. I definitely don't. Tonight will definitely be telling because the matchup is pretty good against a Baltimore team that is underwhelmed this season. That has a really nice strikeout rate on the season, 26% against right-handed pitching, and you have an extremely favorable pitching environment, obviously, in Seattle. So I like Kirby versus Strider. I see myself having more Kirby. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I think both guys have some risk, but I do prefer Kirby in his home park, which is very favorable for pitching. And I'm hoping that he regains some form. I mean, when this guy, when any of the Mariners pitchers were at home, we were blindly playing them last year, and especially George Kirby. So I'll have a little bit of him tonight in my portfolio. As far as bats go, I usually like avoid full stacks in this park. I've learned my lesson. We probably shouldn't. And this Mariners team is awesome. They have a ton of power. And Sugano's not that good. He's definitely not that good. High hard hit rate, low strikeout rate, doesn't walk too many bats. So what does that tell me? Well, it can go either really good or really bad. And it hasn't gone really good for Sugano too often this season. So I do like some Mariner bats in this one. Jorge Polanco right there in the 2-hole. Randy Rizarina. I mean, all of these guys are fine, more so at the top of the lineup. I'm not like in love with it, but I definitely have them in my stack pool.
All right, fair enough. Next game in San Francisco, bit of a pitcher's duel. You could say.
I needed your take real quick on Kirby.
Definitely not as high on him as you are.
Is it an ownership type of thing, or just? I mean, if he's going to be mega chalk, I should maybe lower my expectations.
The ownership doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Is what it is. He's not a terrible play. I just think he's overowned. So, and there are other pitchers I like. So I'll say that. All right. San Francisco game that ended 1-0 in extras on last night's slate. Ryan Bergert, or Berger, however you say that, 5,500. He is facing Landon Roop at 7,400 AP. 60 degrees, pretty cool. Not a lot of wind here in San Francisco that affects anything. Generally, night games very, 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 very low scoring for the most part. Thoughts here on the Padres and the Giants, though.
Yeah, I mean, just like last night, obviously, different situation. We don't have Logan Webb, who was phenomenal. I'm not as high on these pitchers, but again, it's the park factor. temps below 60s, not going to create like a crazy good hitting environment. Again, am I Xing these guys out? No, I don't really do that in baseball. I don't X teams out. I just, I adjust where I need to adjust, and I do it kind of on a macro basis. In SaberSim, they make it pretty easy in their team stacks section. So what I will typically do in a spot like this is just bump them down a half a run or 0.75, a full run if need be, but that's a little aggressive. So that's what I'm going to do with this game. It's tough to get excited about either side. Like Ramos, he could go yard, but again, I'm not going to sit here and full stack the Giants, and I don't feel good about a full stack of the Padres either. But if Tatis landed in my lineup, would I X him out? No, I wouldn't. I'd probably be fine with it, but I'm not going to full stack either side of this game.
Roop is one of these guys that I think is okay. He's a good pitcher, but I also think he's been pitching a little bit over his head. So I don't mind if they're going to be contrarian, not full stacks, like you said, or at least not many, but maybe a couple mini stacks of the Padres, 2-3 mans will make their way.
Yeah. So I X'd him out because I just was concerned about his duration. And on a 12-game slate, like I want that. That's why I like Stever's boy Tanner Bybee a little bit, just because I know he can go 100 plus if he's pitching really well. Where some of these guys, you like the Rasmussens, we talked about him, and then Roop, like he's just one of those guys that rarely goes over 80 and 90 pitches.
Yeah, and Roop more so just because of the innings limit that he's going to be on as a younger pitcher. Rasmussen, that's just what the Tampa Bay Rays do to their pitchers. Uncle T says, I'm doing a great job on the names today.
Baseball names, I'm horrendous. Horrendous.
Uncle T, thank you. And happy Pride. Happy Pride, Uncle T. On a 12-game slate, how often is the highest price pitcher optimal? Well, Jimmy B, who is a member and in our Discord, he actually captured this data for us a couple of seasons ago. Maybe it was last season. I don't remember when it was, but rarely is the highest owned or highest priced pitcher on the slate optimal on these big slates. So that's something else to keep in mind here. Binking. Next game. All right, 2 games left. Any questions? Go ahead and shoot them in. This is the game, AP, that everyone's going to be interested in. It is in Summit Health Park, which is in Sacramento, California.
I might just lock it.
What's that?
I might just go all in on this game, man.
So there you go.
The park's insane. You get the ball in the air and it just goes out of the park. It's like ridiculous.
Did you see, by the way, so very unlucky first inning last night for Luis Severino, or second inning it might have been. Fly ball to the left fielder, but the sun, because the stadium is so short, the sun just blinds the left fielder, and it turns into like a double or a triple for, I think it was either Buxton or it was Carlos Correa. But another thing to think about in that stadium is it is not friendly on the fielders on these games that start at dusk, essentially on the West Coast. But it's the Twins and the A's, AP. Pablo Lopez, 9,300 for Pablo. Jacob Lopez is now expected to start opposing him. He is 6K. What are your thoughts here on the A's and the Twins? Said you might be thinking about going all in.
Yeah, I mean, the park factor is, Boyden highlighted it, greater than Coors Field. And I've actually embraced that Coors Field, just going all in on it on a certain spots this season, and had a lot of success. It's tough with Coors though, because you got one side of the game is Colorado, who they're just atrocious, they're terrible. Not the case though. Like this A's team, they have power, they have good bats here. We saw it yesterday with Larry Butler, who's heating up. I mean, he's absolutely mashing right-handed pitching. I played him yesterday. I actually played a full 5-man A's stack that bubbled. It did not get there, obviously, only 4 runs. And but I had Larry Butler in that stack, and I forget who. Like I had good production in that build. Like I clicked the right pieces, but obviously with Detroit, the Angels, and the other spots going off, it didn't really matter. But I think this is almost a better spot. Pablo Lopez, while yes, he's an awesome arm, I think there's a lot of risk here. He's gotten blown up before. I've seen it happen against my Royals, and I think this A's team could definitely get to him. I think he's going to struggle against the lefties. He has a much higher hard hit rate against left-handed power, especially. And so, yeah, I'm going right back to Soderstrom, Larry Butler. The other thing, too, about the spot is, and I feel like this is kind of common. Maybe it's people impatient. They don't want to worry about late swap. But if we don't have a lineup for this one, which we might not before the first lock tonight, I feel like it always the A's is already out. So never mind. We'll probably have that lineup. But if we didn't have the lineup before first lock, I feel like that alone kind of lowers ownership because people don't want to adjust. But either way, we're getting like no ownership on the A's, and I think it's a great spot. I'm not worried about Lopez. A little bit worried, obviously, about the Twins bullpen. Pretty good bullpen there, but I definitely think you can play the A side of this one. And then, yeah, Twins, I'm eating the chalk there. I think it's a great spot. I'm not sure what to do with Royce Lewis. He's 3,300. He's been terrible, but he's 3,300. Probably going to be chalk. I'm probably going to play him though. But yeah, I want all the Twins, Buxton, Jeffers. I'm guessing he's going to be in the lineup. Ty France, Correa. Yeah, I definitely want a lot of the Twins here.
So let me throw a little bit of cold water on this here. We've got now a starting pitcher change in that game. Do you see a Twins lineup yet?
No, I do not.
Okay. So you've got a right-handed pitcher starting for the Athletics. And then you have Lopez, who's obviously available because he was announced as a potential starter. You have Beto. It could be a full bullpen game here for the A's. And this is where Rocco Baldelli and the Twins have been bad. And Mark Kotsay has been elite at taking advantage of these teams that use analytics. I'm concerned you're going to see a lot of pinch hitting from the Twins here because you're going to have a right-hander. Maybe they come with a left-hander next.
That's always a big concern yesterday. That's the concern I had yesterday with the lineup that they rolled out. If we get – I forget who was pitching yesterday, but I don't think it ended up being that much big of a concern. But if we do get a bullpen game, you're not wrong there. So
yeah, I think it could be. I think it could be with the announcement that – because I think if they were going to use Beto, they would have started him. And the fact that he's not starting suggests to me that this may be a game where they're just going to empty out their pen and give their starters another day rest. Now, the other thing to say, of course, is that as bad as the Twins have been at this, Baldelli has been a little bit better this season in not pulling guys before they have an at-bat, not pulling guys in the fourth inning. But it is certainly possible. So, okay, let's move on to the last game of the night.
No, real quick, the other Lopez that we were talking about was the lefty.
That's right.
Not Pablo. Yeah,
that's right. Yes, Pablo Lopez still starting for the Twins. He is right-handed, okay?
Yeah.
The A's were going to start Jacob Lopez. He's left-handed, but he's not starting anymore, and now it's someone who's right-handed, all right? So that everyone understands that. All right. Last game of the night, AP, it is the Mets and the Dodgers. Very, very quiet game last night for these two teams. Tyler McGill, 8,300. Clayton Kershaw, I can't remember if we've ever seen a price like this for Kershaw. It is warranted, 6,900. McGill, if you look at his recent numbers, you'd say, wow, McGill's pitching very well. If you look at McGill's numbers on the season, you'd say, wow, McGill's pitching really well. I think it's entirely possible McGill is pitching a little bit better than he's going to be long-term. And this is a very, very tough matchup for him, obviously, in Los Angeles. And Kershaw at 6,900. I don't know that there's going to be a lot of interest in using him on a 12-game slate. But what are your thoughts on the Dodgers and the Mets? And Mets calling up Ronnie Mauricio, Mark Vientos on the IL. So you get another young rookie player for people that care about that stuff.
You rarely see like this Dodgers team post like back-to-back poor games. It's like it rarely ever happens. And McGill has really struggled against left-handed bats. So my interest is changing a little bit based off of kind of what you're talking about in the previous game. I still love that park. I'm still going to play I'm still going to play bats in that park. I want to see the Twins lineup though first before making final decisions. But I do love Dodger stacks. I'm showing outside of Shohei Ohtani, who always gets ownership. I'm showing little ownership on them, and outside of the big bats like Max Muncy, he's still cheap, and I think people went to him just obviously chasing. I don't think that'll be the case tonight.
No.
They'll probably forget about it because he didn't do anything at all last night. Miguel's really struggled against lefties. Like, he's been awesome. He's been elite. 15% walk rate against left-handed bats. Higher hard hit rate. Not a lot of fly balls, but again, that doesn't necessarily matter as much against the Dodgers. So I am starting to like the Dodgers a lot. They weren't initially in one of my stacks or the stacks that I liked, but I'm going to bump them up, especially if we get a bullpen game out of the A's, and I do want to see the Twins lineup, since obviously the projected lineup I was looking at, it's probably going to be a little bit different since they're rolling out a right-hander. So I like some Dodgers here. I don't know, like, you think we can see some fireworks after last night's dud? What was the final score? 2-0?
4-3 Mets
4-3.
last night. I think
I probably fell asleep when it was 2-0.
Yeah. I do think this is potentially a Dodgers spot here. All the lefties besides Conforto. Yeah, he's the one guy that I just, I'm gonna definitely limit him in Dodger stacks. Just don't want a ton of him. But I do think you can play the righties just because you'll get obviously people that aren't McGill coming in after him. On the Mets side, I don't know. I mean, Mauricio coming up. You've got really 2 or 3 guys are the only ones that I feel confident in. Francisco Lindor, obviously.
Not Alvarez. They need what's up with him? He's been terrible.
You know what? Look, he's talented. Guys struggle. He's young. We'll see.
Yeah.
More on the Dodgers side here for me.
I like that too. I think they bounce back in a big way. I do feel it could be one of those, just a massive slate, a lot of different options, and the Dodgers getting overlooked and going off. So definitely include them in your 5-man stacks.
Yeah. Steve Kreitzen asks if Kershaw is playable. On this slate, I don't know. AP, what are your thoughts on Kershaw? I mean, the price is enticing, but
I did play Ginger Guard last night. He looked good. He's looked really good outside of a couple pitches. But.
The thing is, May was. I had May high up in my rankings last night as well. If he doesn't just throw that get me over fastball to Lindor, the first batter of the game, it's probably a 20-point performance from him, quite honestly.
That sweeper is insane. Like, it's
when he controls it, and that was a good performance. I mean, 14 points with the little hiccup in the first inning. I think that was pretty good for Dustin.
I feel like they handle all their pitchers still with kid gloves too. So I don't know. I can't do it with Kershaw.
Yeah, I probably won't. I mean, I don't think I am. He's not. He's not high up. ABJ, it's going to be Grant Holman, who is starting for the A's, which suggests that this is going to be some type of bullpen type game for them. So do with that information what you will. AP, go ahead.
I was going to say, I just looking at now, now with things changing in this, I'm not going to fully talk myself off the A's park. It's just too good, but the other environment that just keeps kind of sneaking up that looks sneaky good is the Cardinals against Lorenzen. So maybe that's just my hatred towards certain pieces of this Kansas City team. Lorenzen being one of those.
All right. So there you go. This is not a spot for Lorenzen. All right.
Don't play him. Definitely don't play him.
Okay. Well, so it's not. So JP, this is I think the leap here that you shouldn't make is that it's going to be Holman, then Beto, then Lopez. I have my concerns about whether or not either Beto or Lopez pitch here, just because I think if they were going to start Beto, they would have started him. Same thing with Lopez. I do
like the Twins are so notorious for pinch hitting like all the time, and it's so random outside of their main guys.
Who is the pitcher that is going to be most important to your success tonight, AP?
It's a great question. I mean, I would say Rodon. I know it's taking the easy way out, but I just see myself getting very overweight on him. And then, it has to be Rodon.
Okay. For me, it's going to be Freddie Peralta. It's going to be Freddie Peralta. I'm going to be over the field on Freddie Peralta here on this slate. Who is the offense that is going to be most important to your success tonight?
Oh, man. Well, yeah, I want it to be Twins versus A's. We don't have the Twins lineup out yet. So instead of taking the easy route, that's still my favorite spot on the slate by far. I'm going to say the lower owned spot that seems like it's going a little overlooked is the Cardinals. It looks like almost 90 degrees, 10 to 13 mile an hour wind blowing out. Should be a good hitting environment. A 5 implied team run total. I like the Cardinals against my Royals tonight.
Cardinals against the Royals. I'm looking at this and I am thinking I am going to have some interest here. I can't say the Dodgers are going to be most important. I may take a bite. I might take a bite here. Might take a bite here with the Brewers against Green. I might just take.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I was gonna say that's my other favorite spot that is getting no ownership. So I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, and then I do think the Royals make sense here against Palante.
Don't tell me that.
Yeah,
I can get on board with that.
I mean, I'm not. The Tampa Bay game. We'll see what happens with it. I did like Texas. If we get news that it's going to play, and that the biggest issue is that there'll be some delays, then I will definitely play some Texas Rangers. All right, it's good to see you. First of all,
you as well.
I haven't done a show with you in I don't know how many years. It's been forever. Happy Pride to everybody out there. One last time.
Wait.
We will. We will. We just got some news though, AP. Before we leave, Cole Reagan's is going to start on Thursday. So thanks, Steven. Steven's usually very good, so we're going to let that slip. All right, core plays will be up. The guys will be in Discord answering questions. The playbook's already up. JBC Slate Builder, which is important, will be up. The Boom Report is coming out any minute now. You got to read that if you're playing MLB. So you got to read the Boom Report. And then Prideful JT, that will be a thing for all of June, all the shows. We will show that little graphic. And for AP, I'm JT. Good luck in your contest tonight.